For years and years and years and years, Miami was prominent, if not number one, undisputedly at this time of the NFL offseason. Of course, it's the NFL draft kicking off on Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We will, of course, run down the Canes candidates for the 2022 edition. Cam Underwood, State of the U, makes this all work. It makes it happen. Without him, we do not have a show on Wednesday night. Cam, appreciate you being here. How's it going?
Good, man. Good to be back. You know, it's been a couple weeks off, so I had something pop up a couple weeks ago, and then I just had a sinus infection and a common cold of death that was kicking my butt for about 9 or 10 days there. So I'm sorry that I was under the weather the last couple of weeks, but
9 or 10 days.
I mean, yeah, it was like,
oh man,
yeah, it was more than a week. So, honestly, I thought I had COVID. I tested negative 4 different times from 4 different organizations, so I'm very confident that I didn't at this point. But whatever, I mean, yeah, like I said, sinus infection and common cold. It was a gnarly kind of combo. Hit me with a 1-2, but we're back like we never left, ready to rock, ready to roll. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Send those questions in and everything. I'm going to try to be a little pithy this week, so not talk so much so that I can get to more of your questions, because I know that we're catching up for the last couple of weeks. But always appreciate everybody being here. Where we start today, Mark?
We're going to start with the NFL draft. And, when I sent out our customary post on Twitter to let people know that we're ready to rev it up and get going, Charleston Rambo was the first name that came to mind for me. So I looked up a Charleston Rambo picture to say, that's the guy I'm thinking first and foremost. But who do you think's coming off the board first? Would it be him or somebody else?
First of all, I don't think it's going to be anybody on Thursday. So the first round, not going to have a Miami Hurricane name called unless something completely off the board happens, right? I just don't think that we have produced anybody for this cycle of that caliber, right? There is no Jalen Phillips. There is no Greg Rousseau. There is no Philip Dorsett, who, when you run sub 4.3, okay, you go in the first round. There is no Eric Flowers even, who went top 10. Yeah, I see it.
It was a Michigan helmet.
That's why I didn't complain, because it was the winged helmet, but I appreciate it. But yeah, there's nobody who even is a projectable athlete, where it's, Russo or David Njoku or something like that of this class. So I don't think I'm very confident there's not going to be anybody on Thursday. Friday for rounds 2 and 3, I would say, maybe look at Charleston Rambo, just because I know he ran a little slower than he wanted to, but you come to Miami for 1 year and you put your name in the record books, a few times, with the history of wide receivers. And I mean, you can do this at every position in Miami because the legacy of our program. But to, get your name up there for yards and catches in a single season at the top, pretty impressive. So I think he's a guy that maybe you can look at in the 3rd, maybe 4th round. Bubba Bolden is a guy who could be, maybe in that 3rd round. I know that he had designs probably towards that 2nd round, but he would have needed to have a stronger season. He's a very athletic guy, so he tested well. So that's going to be great. Zach McLeod, who, I've been talking about on here for 7 years. But the thing that I was most impressed by when he first came on the radar as a junior at Santa Lucia Senior High School was his athleticism. And he tested incredibly athletically. So he's a guy who maybe comes from the UDFA board, maybe into that 6th, 7th round. And there's other guys out there. De'Aaron King, it really comes down to, he's older, so I don't know what his prospects are, but also it'll be very interesting to see if he gets picked, what they're going to say, because he's going pro in something other than quarterback. It's almost like that old NCAA commercial, going pro in something other than sports. He can go pro in sports, but he's not playing quarterback. He's 5'9.5", and you have multiple injuries that have zapped some of the electric athleticism that made you really incredible as a quarterback. So there's another guy, Jared Williams, Cameron Harris, John Ford, Amari Carter, Navon Donaldson. That kind of rounds out the group. So it's a smaller group than normal, especially with the extra COVID year. So you got some guys who came back. Obviously, with the transfer landscape, which we're going to get into later, guys moved around the country. So some are still here, some are other places. But I would say you're really going to be looking third round is probably going to be where you're going to hear the first name called. Anything before that is going to be a bonus for that player. And really, in terms of raising the profile in the draft in the future, you're going to be looking at 2023 and beyond.
That gave me an idea for a Miami-related NFL draft segment to take the prime Miami years of dominance, 1984 or 5, probably that draft, and then go through maybe 03 or 04, and then this might be a little bit too involved, but I'd have to pluck out all the other major powers and then make the comparison. Unless I could find a site that would break that down for me.
Everybody loves a good research project, so we can talk about it.
So I would like to do that. That would be interesting. So I'm anticipating Miami coming out on top of overall picks and number 1 selections for that 20-plus year.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were clearly, I think we had the record in that span for number 1 draft picks, especially with the 2001 team that had all those guys who ended up getting drafted in the first round. So something like that. But yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at 3 to 4 get drafted max, correct?
This year of the 8, I'd put the over under at like 3.5.
You went through.
If you're in the 4 or 5 range of those guys, of players drafted, that's pretty good.
You went through the Bubba Bolden profile.
Yeah.
He just had an odd career.
Really did. Played well at USC, started, was going to be starting, had that fight at a party incident, got kicked out of school there, or suspended from University of California system schools. No, sorry, because USC is a private school. Got kicked out of USC for a calendar year. Goes to somewhere else like the JUCO. They're like, okay, cool, you're going to come back. And he's like, actually, I'm going to transfer to Miami. Comes to Miami, and through the first part of his first year here, had an argument at a time, and I said it on this video, of being the best defensive player in America, highlighted by that game at Louisville. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. He made a tackle 2 yards on a 2-yard gain on the right sideline. They go no huddle. He makes a tackle on the other sideline for a 2-yard gain the next play, 53.5 yards apart, literally sideline to sideline. They couldn't do anything to get away from him, because you're like, cool, we're going to go this way. He's there. Well, if we go the other way, he's not going to be there. Johnny on the spot, number 21. And then the bottom fell out. Just everything that he was doing well in terms of tackling, in terms of coverage, in terms of instincts, in terms of physicality, in terms of disruption. Just, it was like Dr. Evil, he stole Austin Powers' mojo. It just wasn't the same guy, absent an injury or anything, playing in the same. It just didn't make any sense. And then he was okay, but yeah, it was a really interesting path for him here.
Yeah, you outlined that series of plays for us, and what caught my eye in that particular game, because that was the second game of the season, correct?
Second or third.
So Miami played somebody that they wiped out, and this was a primetime game, ESPN game. It was a big deal, and they're playing Louisville, who was coming off a nice season and supposed to be good that year. And the thing that caught my eye was, here was a guy who, now you've got guys that lay out jaw-dropping, jaw-jarring kind of hits, like just level people, but rarely had I'd ever seen or could not think of somebody that almost tackled in a beautiful way. Like, his tackling technique was like picture perfect, classic, like wrapping guys up and just.
So he was like the square your shoulders, drive your hips, or drive your feet, through the guy. Mix that with the rugby style rolling kind of thing that they were doing, and you get that together. Yeah, he did well, but it wasn't always that there. To the previous question on the screen, Is Miami done in the transfer portal? The answer to that, I believe, is no. Thank you for the question, Sean Rounds. I know you had another question or comment in there earlier as well, but being pretty active live, appreciate you. I don't think so. I think that we're going to try to find a wide receiver. There's no ready-made number ones. You know what I mean? There's not even a Charleston Rambo, I don't think, out there. You know, he ended up as our number one. But I think, you know, everybody sees, you know, moving forward, he'd be best as like a 2 or a 3 or a 4 in the league. You know, even with as well as he played here, like him as your number one was kind of a burden of necessity, not of like immense talent. But you're not really looking at, you know, all the receivers that Miami's missed on locally recently. I mean, you know the names: Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Grandpa Calvin Ridley, even Ja'Cory Brooks. You know, all those guys going to Alabama and whatnot. There's not a guy of that ilk out there. There is no Jameson Williams right now. But that's the kind of guy that we need at the top of the rotation, absent somebody in the room taking a real big step forward. So there are a couple names that Miami's going to kick the tires on and everything. I think they might be good additions to the group, but there's not really oh my God, wow receiver out there right now. Now the deadline for players to declare is Saturday at 11:59 before May 1st. To be able to transfer this year without requesting a waiver. So there are a couple of days where we might see some guys jump in the portal and everything, but I think that receiver and linebacker are probably where we're going to look most. I would say wide receiver being the more glaring need at the time. Is Daryl Jackson a big get for Miami? Appreciate the question, John Sarian. Absolutely. Both literally and figuratively. 6'6", 300 and who knows, 20-something pounds as a defensive tackle. Yeah, big get. He's a guy who played, you know, 240 almost 240 snaps as a true freshman last year. He's a Florida native from up the road, Havana, Florida, I believe is where he's from. But yeah, you know, big get for Miami to get him. A bigger get because most everybody thought he was going to the University of Florida, including their coaches and recruiting writers, bloggers, and fans. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he's coming here," and then Miami usurps them to get him. And this is less than 2 weeks from when he said after his visit to Florida, Florida's my number one. Like they were pressuring him to commit then. He was like, you know, I'm gonna look at my options, but no, Florida's way on top. It'd be hard to picture myself somewhere else. Well, picture me rolling all the way down to Coral Gables. So you add a guy of that caliber to the defensive tackle group that's really big because we need to reshape the lines. Like that's clearly the intent of this staff, offensive and defensive line, reshaping it, getting new guys in here, turning over this roster into the image that Mario Cristobal wants it to be. So yes, it's a very big get to get Daryl Jackson. Plus the fact he has 3 more years of eligibility remaining, so he's not even just a 1-year mercenary. He might be here he'll need to be here at least for 2 before he can get drafted. Hopefully you play well this year, you come back next year, elevate your draft status like we're talking about at the beginning. If you stay for all 3 years, that would be a super duper win. But even if you stay for 2 years and elevate the play at that position, right next to number 56, Leonard Taylor, who still is the best player at that position, but you add a guy of that size, 6'6", 320 something, inside next to Leonard Taylor, man, yeah, real big hit.
22 tackles as a freshman at Maryland. No plays behind the line of scrimmage. We don't know what style defense or what he was asked to do. What came to mind when I saw the name Daryl Jackson, and this is way before your time, first baseman outfielder for the Twins and Angels, and one of the first baseball cards I remember buying as like an 8-year-old, like in 1979. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Manny Diaz's player development was uneven. It wasn't like overall, I would give it a failing grade. But there are bright spots in the darkness. You know what I mean? Like Gregory Russo. You know, there were some guys who did get better and ended up getting drafted and played really well. But overall, there's some to be desired.
Who is your favorite out of the transfers this year?
Ooh, that's a good question, Nate 561. of the transfers only. Jordan Bowman with a good answer. Henry Parrish. Henry Parrish is up there because of the quality that he brings to the roster. But like every single scholarship running back was a 4-star All-American. Literally. Donald Chaney Jr., Jalen Knighton in the same class. That's why we didn't take Henry Parrish out of high school, by the way, if you guys remember. We had to make a choice. We got the number 1 running back in Broward and Dade. Then he goes over to Ole Miss, does really well. Again, who's a guy who could play here. We just didn't have the room. Now he comes over. He's a 4-star All-American from Dade County. Then you have Thad Franklin from Chaminade. He's so good. He ran off another All-American in Cody Brown from Tennessee. And then you get Trevante Citizen, a 4-star All-American. Also, literally all of the scholarship running backs are 4-star caliber recruits, high school All-Americans, multiple state championships among them. Really, really good. So yeah, that adds to a loaded room. So he's on that list. The potential of Frank Ladson is on this list. Underrated, but I really liked what I saw from him. Logan Sagapolu, the offensive lineman, number 77, like he moves people. He's a guy who did like the $600 or $700 or pound squat that we saw on social media. And you're like, oh, well, is that functional strength? You go back and look at that spring game. Hey, man, whoever 77 got his hands on, they were going in a different direction than they wanted to. So he would have to be on that list. There's a lot of quality. There's a lot of quality in the transfer group. I would have to say my favorite. I'm gonna go with the off the radar. I'm gonna go Logan Sagapolu. I'm gonna say that he's my favorite because I think that he's going to, if not be a rotation guy, I think that he's going to take somebody's spot on the offensive line. Just because I don't know how you're going to keep that guy off the field. And he's going to play interior because he's not tall and doesn't have especially long arms, so you're going to be limited to guard or center. But yeah, I would go there. But there's a lot to like.
I'm going to chime in with Akeem Mesidor. Could he turn out to be the most impactful?
Could, yeah. I was thinking him, and I stopped myself from going down everybody. Hakeem Mesidor, the Moultrie kid from UAB, Daryl Porter Jr., also from West Virginia, same as Mesidor, Daryl Jackson, who we were just asked about. Yeah, there's a lot of quality. But yeah, Hakeem Mesidor could be the most impactful player. He had more pressures last year than Gerald Willis had as a senior at Miami. And everybody holds that season in high esteem because it was damn good. That's when Miami had one of the best defensive lines in America, led the country in tackles for loss per game. And we're just wreaking havoc in everybody's backfield every single game. But on a one-to-one basis, Mesidor was more disruptive than Gerald Willis was last year at West Virginia. So, he could be, if he puts it all together. I think we're getting all these defensive linemen because, we're really trying to work vertically, like get up the field, not just play patty cake and plug some holes. No, like let's get in the backfield and let's be disruptive. Which is the thing that we've been trying to do, but I don't think that we did it as well recently as we could. But you add him again, Daryl Jackson, who's going to go to the top of the rotation, defensive tackle, next to Leonard Taylor. You got other guys in and around this program already on that side of the ball. He could be.
The Stu Boys is asking about Jalen Robinson. So he had a nice season with UCF 2 years ago, going back to 2020, 10 games played, 55 catches, just shy of 1,000 yards, 6 TDs. Came back this year. He must have gotten banged up a little bit. 6 games played, 18 catches, a couple touchdowns, an original OU commit and signee.
Yeah, and I think that he's a guy that can add depth to the wide receiver rotation, but he's not everybody's All-American. He's not oh shit, wow, you got this guy on the roster now? That's not going to be the reaction, I don't think. But he could raise the floor and compete to, find snaps and impact the game and everything. And again, I think he can play here. So bringing him on the roster would not be a waste of a scholarship for a non-Miami caliber kind of a guy. But Miami needs a superstar at wide receiver. And respectfully, I don't think that he's that, even though he can play on this team, he can be on this roster, he can elevate slightly what we're doing, maybe in the middle, part, raise the floor, try to improve the performance kind of a thing. But no, he's not a drop dead superstar at wide receiver. Excuse me.
Falconer X usually bringing a lot of hope and optimism, a lot of fire, a lot of tenacity, and a lot of Miami swag. But here,
okay,
do we know what he's alluding to in particular, other than Bama? How are these out-of-state schools beating out Miami, Florida State, UF, for South Florida 4 and 5 stars?
Yeah, it's just going back to
Is he talking about, not to cut you off, is he talking about recent activity?
Yes and no. Yeah, I mean, well, there was Mark Fletcher from American Heritage, 4-star running back who committed to Ohio State 2 weeks ago now, I believe it was. You got Brandon Innes, 5-star wide receiver. He's taking visits all over the country. He just locked in an official visit somewhere that's not Miami. I forget if it was Alabama, Georgia, USC. It was a team with red. It wasn't O State. I know that. But I know he did just lock in an official visit somewhere else, which, isn't everything, but that's also not nothing, But it's really, you have to, there's positives for other places, and also there are negatives for Miami. So they're going to both highlight their great attributes and then negatively recruit Miami's negative attributes, whether that's the depth chart, whether that's the performance on the field, whether that's the kind of coaching, whether that's the facilities, whether that's, I know people still bring up the fact that, Hard Rock Stadium is where Hard Rock Stadium is, which is 23 miles away from the campus, so there's that. And I'm not going to pretend like the Bagman game doesn't exist, because it does. So there was definitely some of that in some of those cases. But, also Miami hadn't given anybody a reason to stay. And there's so many people, so many players who have said it themselves that if Miami was worth a damn, they would have stayed. But Miami has been average at best. So I'm going to go somewhere else. So, I mean, it's never a single source kind of debate, but there's multiple factors. And it could be one thing for one kid and another thing for another kid. And Miami shot themselves in the foot too by not really building or maintaining connections with some of the high schools down here, not really listening when they would go down and they would recruit at the schools, be like, okay, coach, well, I'm here for Mark. It's like, cool, great. I also have Jake, Bob, Cam, and Brian, and they're also really great, either this class or next class. No, I just want to talk to Mark. Okay, cool. But then Nick Saban comes down and he's like, oh, okay, you can talk to Mark, but we also got all these dudes. Oh, word? Really? Okay, tell me more about them. I'm going to talk to Mark, but let me know about the next round, right? And by not doing that, then Miami's been late on some guys and not prioritizing guys who want to come to Miami. I'm not going to go through the whole story again, but I worked with Jordan Battle's dad at Deerfield Beach Senior High School. I remember Jordan Battle when Jordan Battle was 4 and 5 years old, coming to the school, always wearing orange and green. He wanted to be a Miami Hurricane more than anything else. Miami said, you are soft, you are not physical, you do not fit the athletic profile of somebody that we want to have at the University of Miami. And then circle back on him 2 years later after having told him that multiple times at camp, on campus, confirmed, right? When he came down to work out, trying, begging for an offer. Please, my dad's a huge fan. Come on, I bleed orange and green. Nah, you're soft. You're small. All right. Nick Saban goes to Aquinas, sees this guy, and says, who's it? Miami doesn't? Let me get that. Cool. Now it's the Jordan Battle who's going to be a first-round draft pick next year. But Miami shot themselves in the foot with that. So that's a self-inflicted one of a kid that I know for a fact wanted to be a Hurricane. How many other times has that happened? More than a couple. So again, it's a little column A, a little column B, but hopefully we're going to turn some things around and go in a different direction.
Michigan State and Mel Tucker, of course, turned over the roster quickly. Kim, could you see Miami doing something to Michigan State like Michigan State did last year with the immediate success of transfers?
I mean, at this point, what's your expectation? right? Because Miami's working to plug holes on this roster, but everything didn't need to get turned over. Like, we might want a number one superstar wide receiver, but there's depth and talent in that room. I already told you about the running backs. I didn't even mention Tyler Van Dyke, who's one of the handful top what quarterback in America. It's a single-digit number. I guarantee you that, right? So a literal top 10 single-digit, maybe even higher than that, depending on how, froggy you're feeling about it, quarterback, you got some guys on defense. You got Avonte Williams, who looks like he's ready to take a step forward. You got James Williams right next to him, monster. You got Leonard Taylor up front. You've added these 11 guys. You want to talk about a better season than expected. What's the expectation? Shout out to JP, Juice from 300. He sometimes writes for State of the U, and if JP's watching this, he should probably do that again soon. I would appreciate that. But he was going back and forth with some people today on the timeline who talked about it. He says, okay, so people are saying that 8-4 would be a season that would be acceptable. Are there 4 teams with better coaching staffs and better rosters on the schedule right now than Miami? The answer is no. They're not 4 teams. So if you don't have 4 teams that are better coached with more talent, how then is 4 losses acceptable, right? And if you want to go down the list, there's 2 that really stand out of being, you could say, better, right? That's Texas A&M and that's Clemson. No one else in the other 10 games is either coached as well as Miami or as talented as the Miami Hurricanes. So again, I go back to the question, what are the expectations? If you're expecting 8-4 or 7-5, do I believe that Miami can and should have a better performance with the immediate success of transfers? Absolutely. But I think that the expectation needs to be approaching 10 wins, to be perfectly honest. So it really just comes from your frame of reference.
Got my list of the top 32 quarterbacks in college football that I've put together. Just need to produce the video. Tyler Van Dyke at, we shall see. All right, Marcus. So 2 that got away, 1 on offense and 1 defense from South Florida.
Jesus.
That you would love to see come on home.
Oh, man. That's a really good question, bro. I would say, due to positional need, Ja'Cory Brooks at wide receiver from Alabama. On defense, there's no linebacker that I can think of. Is there a corner? I know that there's Earl Little at Alabama. But respectfully, I want to vibrate higher because he's only 5'11". If I'm going to bring somebody back as my one guy. I mean, you can think Dallas Turner, the outside linebacker, edge rusher from Alabama, who, again, another Aquinas kid who should have been a Hurricane, but stupid. Sorry, us, stupid, not him. We, us, Miami, orange and green, stupid. Let that happen. Off the top of my head, that's where I'm going to go. But as I sit and I think about it, and you guys are maybe thinking of a certain guy from a certain school or something that's in your brain that's not in mine, maybe I would agree with that. But off the top of my dome, I would say 2 guys from Alabama. But, I mean, yeah, getting guys off the Alabama roster, like, yes, we should desire to do that anyway. You know what I mean?
Our guy Desmond Upshaw. So he produces content for us and hosts some work on our Michigan channel. Bama fan, but on the Michigan channel.
Okay.
Is TVD going to compete to be the best quarterback in the ACC?
TVD is the best quarterback in the ACC.
Arguably.
I don't see another quarterback that's better than him. So, what, you're going to say Hartman?
I said arguably.
No, but I'm saying, like the name.
I think Devin Leary's in the conversation from NC State. Other than those 2, no. But he's the one guy that I think is in the ballpark.
Okay.
I didn't say he was better.
Okay.
I said
I got
arguable.
But, yeah, I mean, no matter how you slice it, he's either firmly, because he is for me, firmly your number one, or even if you take a more a less certain, more pragmatic approach as Mark in the conversation at the top. So I think by default, yeah, you believe that he is the best or among the best. But yeah, like I would say competing for best QB in the ACC, pretty much everybody would agree. At a minimum, he's in that top three, no matter what order you put it in, right? He has to be that. For me, then yes.
I can't think of a third guy. I don't think there is a third guy. I think Phil Jerkovic at Boston College is really good, but he's not that good.
So then top two, which is even more towards my point of absolutely being in that competition for the best quarterback in the ACC, 100%.
Keaton Slovis comes in with a name from USC to Pitt, but he had a really, really good first season at USC, 30 touchdowns. But the last 2 years have been kind of, he appears to have some shoulder issues. I don't think he is what he was.
And shoulders, in case you guys don't know, shoulders are what end careers. Like elbows for people who throw, you see guys get Tommy John in baseball or whatever in football. Like elbows you can recover from. Shoulders end careers. So be aware.
But after those four guys, Pickett's gone, obviously, and Howell's gone. So I thought the league was the best quarterback league in the country last year.
Yeah.
For me, those are the two guys that you can argue.
Fair.
Falconer X, basement 8-4, ceiling 10-2. Well, then that's not the ceiling, Falconer X. It might be 11-1. To me, the ceiling's 12-0.
Honestly, I think it would be a tough path to traverse. But if you're talking about needing guys in certain positions, you go and fill in most of those voids, you're going to get back a slew of guys who were injured or recovering from surgery who missed spring. And you still have a stacked roster in some other places that has been maintained while we've been adding in other places. The ceiling is undefeated. Listen to me now, I don't think that we're going to be there now. But I do think that is the ceiling. But especially as we're adding more to this roster, 8-4 would be a disappointment to me. Perfectly honestly, 8-4. I'm not going to necessarily go and say it's a fireable offense like with last year because, like I said, after that Michigan State game, everything is fireable. I was done 100%. But 8 would be a disappointment with the way that the schedule is and with this, new coaching staff and the influx of talent, both through recruiting, which I know is a smaller class, but the quality is unassailable, and this really, really dynamic transfer portal class. 8-4 would be unacceptable.
The reasons that I say that 12-0 is unreasonable to think about have less to do with Miami and more to do with just probabilities in college football. How many teams go through the regular season every season undefeated? It's usually one or it's none. Sometimes it's two. Last year it was Georgia, period. In Power 5 football, they were the only one in the regular season. Pardon me?
I was going to say Cincinnati as well, right?
Yeah, they did go undefeated.
You said Power 5.
But in the Power 5, yeah.
Right.
Year before, Alabama, they were the only one. That's it. Year before was 2019 was a little unusual. Ohio State, LSU, Clemson all went undefeated in the regular season, but it's usually one or maybe two.
Right.
So it's just
with
difficult
3 being
to do.
An extreme outlier.
But Texas A&M, of course, is one of the two teams that everybody would point to as, okay, there's an L. If you surveyed college football fans that are knowledgeable college football fans across the country, probably 80% would just say they're going to lose at Texas A&M. That's not an automatic loss. Texas A&M lost 4 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're stacked with talent, but they're also in that category with Miami of unproven good. They've proven to be good, but they haven't proven to be elite yet.
And especially we talked about this maybe
and the quarterback position's not
that great. Part. I was going to say that quarterback, they don't have a Johnny Manziel. They don't even have a what was his name? Dude who just
Ryan Tannehill?
No, the black kid.
Kellen Mond.
Yeah, they don't even have Kellen Mond. on the roster right now. Like it's, like
they don't have a proven. Kellen Mond was proven. You knew what you got. He played so much football there.
Mm-hmm. But I don't even think that they have a player of that caliber right now. I honestly don't. I really think that their quarterback room is bereft of talent, which is why they're going to need to, do some different kind of things. Now they do have a stacked roster, and they do, but like there are still questions there.
They've got Haynes King, so he won the job last year, and I believe he was a high 4, maybe a 5-star.
He was a 4-star. He's a guy that we kicked the tires on.
Okay. He's kind of a runner that he's not that he can't throw, but he's an athlete. He's like a pretty superior athlete. He won the job, got hurt the second or third game of the season, didn't get back on the field, and that's when Calzada came in and finished out the year. Well, he won the job last year. Then they bring in Max Johnson, did throw 27 touchdowns at LSU, but he's a pocket guy that's a good quarterback, but he's more in the top 25 or 30 range. And then they've got Connor Wiegman, who's a 5-star, but he's not going to be ready or see the field. It's between the other two.
So, I mean, I think that Johnson is an upgrade in terms of quarterback play. However, he's a statue. So you're going to lose that dynamic running ability, But yeah, again, I think that there's still questions. And even as not the senior Mond, but you could even go to like sophomore or junior Mond, I'm taking that player over anybody that's in the room right now. That's my point.
I agree. Hummus Hero. Yes, I forgot Sam Hartman of Wake Forest. Very good quarterback. Too many picks. A little too loose with the football. 14 or 15 picks for him last year. That's a little.
Yeah.
I'm back. You lost me for a second, right?
Yeah. I was just like, ah.
All right. Oh, Jordan Bowman. This is one of the reasons why the guys that you guys are bringing up are one of the reasons why I've said it a zillion times on other shows that was the best quarterback league in the country last year. Yeah, Brendan Armstrong of Virginia. Yes, he's really good. Again, I don't think he's with Van Dyke and Leary, but he is really good. Yeah. Yeah, forgot about those two.
Fair. We mentioned Slovis.
Yes.
If Miami goes 6-6, will this channel implode? Buddy, I've been doing this, or we have been doing this very here show for going on a decade. I bleed orange and green. I have my degree from the University of Miami. So I know people are going to fix their face to say, you're a T-shirt fan, you did it. No, the only reason that I came to South Florida was to go to the University of Miami. And as the alma mater says, as a different song says, in storm and sunshine, I am here through the hurricanes, or with my and our hurricanes. So if that is a big win, 2017 Notre Dame, we're here to talk about it. If that's getting blown out by LSU, we're here to talk about it. If that's 58-0 to Clemson, and we're going through, and I have my notes here, and I'm quoting out the number of people in each section that I can count in the second half, because I literally did that to entertain myself, because I'd already written my gamer. I already had the good, the bad, and the ugly halfway done. So I literally sat there and counted people in the sections, because that's how many people left that I can say, oh, that's 112. There are 8 people in that section. That's 115. There's 4 people in that section. After that game, where was I? Right here with you and everybody else. So yeah, if it's great, we're here. If it's literally the worst loss that we have ever suffered on the football field, where else we're going to be? Right here. So Eric, thank you for watching. I don't know if you don't know about me, but what you should know about me is, absent, being on vacation or being sick or something like last week, I'm here all the time. So, the misnomer, the misconception that Miami fans are fair weather. What fair weather fan would have stuck around for the 20 years of what we've seen from 2001? Why would there be 16-year-old Miami Hurricanes fans? What have we won recently? Nothing. So if it's fair weather, that's bandwagon. Oh, they're winning? Let's hop on that. What have we won and what have we done to incite that? Nothing. So then I urge you to look and see, hey, maybe, just maybe, This is real. We're about this. 10 toes down to the ground. We're going to be here every single week. And I urge you to come back and, have a conversation about it. But yeah, not fair weather, not going to, tune in and out or implode or anything. Going to be here just like the loss at Nebraska, that game that we should have won, or the win against Nebraska in 2015 where we almost gave that game away, or 2015 Clemson, or the game with the return that still has the Miami Hurricanes as the most individually penalized team in an ACC game in the history of this conference on that night, right? And they tried and tried and tried. The referees did to give that game away for us. And we snatched that away with one of the most dynamic and incredible return plays with that crackback block by David Njoku that is still my spirit animal, right? And I'm going to be here. So are we going to implode? No. Is it going to be great content every single week? And I appreciate you turning in to go and, listen to it, watch it, and interact with me. Appreciate you.
Wow. I'm here for other reasons to a certain extent. I will say this, and I can attest from a neutral, unbiased standpoint that Miami fans are not bandwagon fans. So I'm saying it from a completely neutral, unbiased position because this show survives and thrives and succeeds and prospers for two basic reasons. Because I'm the same guy that does the Ohio State show, the Michigan show, etc. So it's not me. It's two reasons. Number one, and I don't know what the percentage is on either side. Number one, it's Cam. So Cam's phenomenal with his insight, knowledge, breakdowns, enthusiasm. It's just a tremendous combination of knowledge base combined with fervent love and passion for the sport and for the school, the university, and the football team, and then great storytelling skills, and all of that put together. But it's also, as evidenced by other Miami content on this channel, that you people love your team, win or lose, and you show up and you're here and you support this channel more than any other individual team channel that I have.
Amen.
And you've not been that good to do it.
I have not. That day after Notre Dame and Virginia Tech the week before, and that whole, well, not that whole 10-0 run because, there were cracks in the armor. We tried to expose some of those things. People didn't want to, listen, but whatever. But yeah, those two nights after those games, it was a party. But it's always going to be a party. But, we're always going to be here. But yeah, man. I think
so I will tell all of you, mostly being Miami fans, that I appreciate your support of this show and this channel because, again, I know that there are individuals who are great people from any fan base, and then there are the not so great people that so I never make a judgment on a fan base. When I hear this fan base is delusional, this fan base is great, I always say, yeah, there might be a certain lean to a particular fan base, but to me, I think there are crazies in every fan base in a good way and a bad way, and there are loyal fans and knowledgeable fans and delusional. I think you get the potpourri in every fan base. But I will say, when you throw it all together, Miami fans are the most supportive. They have outdone every other fan base that I service.
So what you say is Miami's number one. You heard it from Mark Hurst. Thanks. There it is.
The Miami fan base. Yes, you're right. Hummus Hero. Ohio State was undefeated in 2020. They only somebody had mentioned something about is Mario cleaning house along the defensive line.
I mean, it's the same thing with the offensive line. Like, yeah, the main intent has been to flip those position groups to the standard that he believes that we need to have. So yeah. Looking to bring in multiple guys. I mean, you've already brought in three, Daryl Jackson, Josh Mesidor, and Moultrie. Sorry, 4. Lichtenstein, Cypress Bay, Western Cypress Bay alum who went to USC, and then now he's back. So that's 4. He's a guy who's going to be at the top of that rotation as well. You could bring in the Eric Gentry kid from Arizona State. He's a dynamic player who could be outside line or a linebacker or defensive end. But yeah, he came in and saw clearly this is not good enough. There are some guys to like. Jafari Harvey apparently has been just doing his very athletic thing. Leonard Taylor, incredible. Chance Williams elevating his play, and he's the one who's I really need to see it from him this year. Like, I need to see that step forward. 6'4", 245, quick, twitchy, physical, strong. This guy has the perfect frame, size, build. I need to see that now put into action. But past that, not really that many other dudes. So we got to go out and get some. But yeah, it's been very clear that along the lines, we are trying, or Mario Cristobal is very clearly trying to change the composition of the roster 100%. And I think it's more necessary on the defensive side. I think you get by with what's on the offensive line side, especially by growing some guys or developing them for the future and bringing in other guys eventually. But yeah, when you get some guys back from injury and whatnot, and everything on the defensive line, I think we can be okay. But yeah, we're trying to reshape this roster to the way that he believes it should be across the board, not just that position, but that position has been a main focus, especially when you're talking about nearly half of the transfers that you've gotten through the portal are at that one position group. I think that just already speaks volumes for, the action being taken.
Falcon Rex. Appreciate you, man. Let's not talk about 58-0 against Clemson. Yes.
Okay, moving on.
Falcon Rex. Appreciate you, man. Being a Miami fan is not for everyone. It's an elite group. Outsiders will never understand, but all are welcome.
It's literally one of our catchphrases. It's a Miami thing. You wouldn't understand.
Hurricane Speed Jr. following that up with, and we appreciate the super chat. Again, the sleeping giant has awakened. Let's go Canes.
Yeah, hey, let's get it. Let's get this team healthy. Let's get on the field. Keep working through the summer. Maybe add another player or two. And not anytime soon, because the opener's not till the end of August, beginning of September. I forget the date, but we're 5 months out, and we need to, or 4 months, 4.5, whatever. Eventually, I'd say maybe in about 8 or 10 weeks, start pushing downhill towards the season.
What do we got here from Knox Kane? We've got a Tennessee fan chiming in, says, I slightly disagree. I moved to Knoxville in 94. The fan following here is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, disagreeing with my take. Every car has at least 4 window flags. Now they disappear faster than a V.
That's a great line. That also, what you just saw happen is why I would have to read the shout outs when I worked at Miramar, the break between the play before. Yeah. I'd read like 2 of them, and if I got halfway through, I'm like, hold on, I'm going to announce this play. I'm going to go back and look at it because it's unfolding for you live. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've gotten burned a couple times.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, it's been, woo. Yeah, been there.
Cosme Lopez, thank you so much for that. We appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much for that. I see this number at about 200 on the line right now, and you know what I'm thinking. I love the Miami talk. I love the college football talk. I'm here all the time. This is why I built this out and do this on all these channels, but got to understand it's a business for me. And so, man, I see these numbers and I think, man, if everybody would go out there and grab like 1 or 2 people and bring them on in, that would be phenomenal. But thank you so much for the contribution. Exploring with Ben. Can we just get more thumbs up, everyone? Well, Exploring with Ben, thank you for reminding everyone and including that in a super chat contribution as well.
Yeah, give a thumbs up. Didn't give us a like, man.
Absolutely. So yes, Jeffrey, thank you so much for that. Just reminding everyone, it moves the needle for YouTube. Why it does, how they put that in the formula, I don't know, but that's the word out there. Tell people to hit the like button. And it amazes me because we know what the response is, especially when Cam's here, but really the content across the board on the Miami channel, but especially when Cam's here. And then I look at the videos and I'm like, it's always like 8% likes to views. And I'm like, and I admit, hey, for years and years and years and years, forever, since the invent of YouTube, I've watched videos and loved videos from people, and it just doesn't cross my mind to hit the like button. But doing what I do now, I'm conscientious about, okay, I'm going to help these people out by hitting the like button.
Like, comment, subscribe. That's
so I get it. All right, Cam. I think we've done some work tonight. You especially.
Appreciate it.
And
yeah,
appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
good to have you as always.
Oh man, like I said, it's always good to be here, man. I appreciate it. The real MVP 24. That's a great number. That's the Underwood family number. 24. Let's get it. ACC's most open and been in years. Can Miami take advantage? That is the goal and the task that is in front of this team, to take advantage of that, and to to take advantage, to have the success in conference that we have not had, and continue to move things forward. And speaking of, I did have a baseball over there, so this is your four-seamer. And I just threw a straight change up, but then I actually started learning the circle change with the circle. But yeah, so four-seamer. I was a big forkball guy, just like nice little forkball. Had a little dip on it. But hey, man, it was in between that fastball and that changeup, but it had the near max velocity, but that little dip at the end, for accuracy and placement. That was my thing. So, but yeah, I do try to bring it all the time. It's funny. People at the Secret Day Job, I heard somebody had a conversation the other day. They're like, is he like that all the time? Just like talk about my job performance. And, one of my coworkers was like, yeah, every single day. And, I try to be like that on here as well. So, I'm glad that you guys appreciate it. I'm so, humbled and grateful that you tune in, continue to support Mark and I, and hope that you continue to support us over at stateoftheu.com as well. I've been managing editor over there for coming up on 10 football seasons or 9 football seasons this upcoming year. So we do have draft profiles. Our resident NFL Canes guy, Jake Marcus, has those going up. The first couple have gone up, and they're going to go up through the weekend as well. So we got that over there. Got a couple of really interesting things cooking. I don't know if Sam Knowlton is in the chat today, but I believe that he sent me. Yeah, so he sent an interesting to the State of the U Twitter account that I'm going to consider turning into some content, which I think could be good and fun moving forward. So yeah, we always appreciate you guys, coming on over to fan with us. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the State of the U. My personal Twitter account is at Underwood Sports, and the website always open 24/7, 365 with, a brand new debuted commenting system that is going up this week is stateoftheu.com. So please come on over and fan with us, interact with our writers. We do love to create content for you guys. We love to continue the conversation after the initial content is posted. We really, really do enjoy that, and it's a labor of love and passion for me as well. So, I'm, really think that we've cultivated something really strong over there, and I hope that you guys enjoy that.
You can come hang with us during the NFL draft starting at 8 Eastern. We're doing our live stream and call-in show during the NFL draft on Thursday night over on the main channel. So see you then. Cam, you have yourself a great week and weekend, and hopefully we can get back here next week.
Absolutely. You can book it. So see you guys. Thanks again.